Come up with a more fun name than loot box.
Sex container.
That's just crude and frankly not appropriate for the show.
You come up with something better then.
Party bag.
This is Versus, the GameSpot show that pits your favorite games, consoles, franchises, and hot button issues against each other. This week we're back in good old Blighty and debating one of the most divisive topics in gaming, loot boxes. Arguing the case for is loot box lover Will Potter, who has spent well over £100 on Overwatch since the game launched in 2016.
Because
£100?
Yes.
Sorry, it took me a second to notice what you said there.
£100.
Wow.
And fighting against loot boxes is traditionalist Oscar Dayus, who hates microtransactions nearly as much as he loves Queen, country, and English football. Each will argue their case for or against loot boxes before giving an example of a game that they believe backs up their argument. You can vote for who you think has won the argument by clicking up here now. Last week's fight between Wolfenstein and Doom saw Jean-Luc victorious with 64% of the vote for his argument for Doom. And now he's celebrating with a well-earned holiday. Right, let's get into the debate.
Hello, Oscar.
Hello, Bill.
What's this you're wearing?
Well,
England lost the World Cup, didn't they?
No, at the time of recording, England are playing tonight, and we're going to win the World Cup. It's coming home.
Okay, can we just stop the football chat now,
Just
please?
like Germany, you're going home, son.
Nice. That was, yeah, fair enough, but absolutely not, because what are we talking about today?
Talking about microtransactions, loot boxes in particular.
Loot boxes.
And I am wholeheartedly against them, Bill.
It's because you're a cheapskate.
Irrespective of whether or not you can pay for them with real world money, I'm against loot boxes as a concept. The thing I hate most about them is that it's a complete show-off device, right? It's like, it allows people, even if they're just cosmetic, it allows people to go, oh, look at me, I've got this amazing new skin and I'm richer and better than you. And inherently, I think that creates divides between people and between communities and between the gaming community. And I think that's quite an unsavory thing. And then obviously, even if it's worse than that, it can affect the game itself. You can be allowed to purchase randomized weapons or whatever. Then you're giving purely like giving actual advantages to people with more money.
I don't think so at all. I think if you've put dozens of hours into a game, you'd want to show off that you've played it a lot. I guess it goes back to like back in the old Modern Warfare games, you'd unlock skins and weapons. And yes, nowadays that comes in the form of loot boxes. It's just a new device to deliver that. And don't get me wrong, I do disagree where it gives you an absolute advantage over other players. Yeah, maybe don't do that. But if it's purely cosmetic and you can keep the game fresh and keep you wanting to play the game to unlock these cool rewards so you can show off, there's nothing wrong with that.
Even then though, I feel like it was better in the olden days of Call of Duty 4, for example, where you would get higher level skins if you got more headshots and so on, because at least then you felt like you earned it. Whereas now it's just like, I've literally just played X amount of time or I've paid X amount of money and unlocked a loot box, and if you get something good, you haven't earned it, you've just randomly been given this thing. And I think it's way less satisfying to do that. Like, I play games with loot boxes in, and when I get something good in a loot box, I don't go, oh, that's an amazing feeling, that feels awesome, I've got this sense of accomplishment. You just go, oh, okay, the algorithm favored me this week, but next week it could be massively against me, and I'll open another 10 without getting anything good. And that's even before I've got to the argument of like, the Netherlands and Belgium have declared that loot boxes are akin to gambling. And also I've got a paper here from...
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it's in Nature, the highly respected science journal Nature, written by Aaron Drummond and James D. Sauer from Massey University.
Okay, cut to the point.
In the way they encourage and sustain user engagement, loot box systems share important structural and psychological similarities with gambling. Of those games containing loot boxes, 100% of those tested allow for, if not actively encourage, underage players to engage with these systems.
I'm glad you brought that up. I am glad you brought that up. Because you're into football, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
Yeah. So, you familiar with familiar with these? What are these, Oscar? Tell me.
These are football stickers, Bill.
Yeah, and do you know exactly what is inside that?
Football stickers, Bill.
Yeah, which ones?
No, I don't know.
Exactly, you don't know which ones you're getting.
No.
It's fun to open a pack and be surprised. And I know for a fact Exhibit A, that you collect these and you don't seem to have a massive problem. It's essentially the same as a loot box. It just costs 60p and you get stickers instead of skins.
I guess the main difference here is that my mum always bought me these, and it didn't come out of my own pocket, and so therefore it's fine.
Let's be real though, a game for your PlayStation 1 in 1996 would have cost you $50, yeah? Taking into consideration inflation, today that would cost $70, $80, up to $100 for a video game. Games don't cost that much. Reason being is because developers have implemented things like loot boxes to offset that cost. And if you want to, it's up to you. You can spend more on that game if you like it.
But I would much rather that extra cash is obtained by more traditional methods like map packs, standard DLC expansions, because then at least I feel like I'm paying more money, but I know what I'm getting.
But those are worse, because then you're excluding players who don't buy map packs.
Not necessarily, because if you're only talking about if it's a multiplayer shooter, for example, like Call of Duty or Battlefield, but what if you have something like Rainbow Six Siege does it really well, where if you want, you can pay money and get those characters early and without having to grind for them in-game, or you can just grind for them in-game and then it's free for those people who don't have so much money. Unfortunately, Rainbow Six Siege does also have loot boxes, but they were added in after launch and actually implemented not too bad.
Yeah, because they don't affect the game. They're just cosmetic.
It's not as bad, but I would still rather they weren't there. If you buy a loot box and you get something shit, it's really annoying, and that's always good. That sense is always going to be there. The same as if I opened one of these and I got, I don't know, Lionel Messi because he's been rubbish.
That's all in the game, isn't it? That's part of the fun. So you don't like loot boxes, do you? But there's a game I think does them really well, and that's Overwatch.
That was a lovely, here's one we prepared earlier.
Yes, I bought this especially today. Overwatch does loot boxes. It's purely cosmetic. You can get cool skins for your character. You can get sprays, voice lines, poses, and it feels like a really good reward for playing the game. They even do event-specific ones, which I love. And actually, I think that works brilliantly because it gets you playing the game during events, and it's a reason to revisit that game. Obviously very clever of Blizzard to do that, but for me, I really don't mind. And what I also don't mind is buying a few loot boxes, because
with real world money.
With my own English pounds. I've probably spent about £100 on Overwatch loot boxes. I don't regret that. Because
£100?
Yes.
Sorry, it took me a second to notice what you said there.
£100.
Wow.
So I think it keeps it fresh. And it also, the behind the scenes effect of that is Blizzard and our friend Jeff can carry on putting all of their efforts into the game, bringing us new content, releasing maps for free, new characters for free, keeping servers up and running, keeping the game fresh, and they are constantly thinking about loot boxes and is it a good deal? Like they went back and changed the drop rate of duplicates. They lowered that, so it was actually better when you get loot boxes. So for me, I have no problem buying a game up front full price, and if I want to, treat myself to a few loot boxes, get a nice skin, get a cool pose for my character, and they all look amazing as well.
Does it not annoy you that the system is purely set up not to satisfy you or not to make you have fun, but to get more money out of you?
I'm not that worried because I think Overwatch provides such a great service, and I know that it couldn't do that if it wasn't for that ecosystem. I wouldn't have this massive collection of really cool stuff that I'm proud of owning.
And this massive hole in your pocket.
It's not that big, to be honest, £100.
Yeah, fair. All right for some, innit?
You spend £100 on cheese toasties in a week.
I have not. That's an absolute lie.
You
Anyway.
go to Pret, I know you do.
I've got an example here, Bill, of a game that I think has done loot boxes particularly badly.
All right, let's see.
Despite being a good game, and that is Star Wars Battlefront II. Which at launch, let's face it, was an absolute mess when it comes to its loot boxes and its microtransactions.
Probably, one of the most controversial launches of a game because of loot boxes.
Yeah, essentially the way it worked at launch, you could pay real world money or in-game currency to buy crates. Inside crates were star cards, which were essentially how you progress through the game with your character. This obviously caused a lot of controversy, and DICE were forced to reduce some of the costs of various things that you can buy in the game. as well as eventually taking microtransactions out altogether. And it stayed that way for months, and they always said they were going to bring them back, and now they finally have. As of a couple of months ago, you can no longer buy anything that's tied to progression. You can only earn star cards through playing the game. But there are still loot boxes, only with purely cosmetic items in them, which is, albeit not ideal, but it is a lot better than what it was before. But I think this shows how the negative reception that Battlefront 2 received was almost entirely because of this progression system. It's like people really hate this stuff, and understandably so, because I think it's so egregious and so it takes advantage of people. And I think it's a prime example of how badly microtransactions and loot boxes can affect the gaming community.
I can't argue that when Battlefront 2 came out, it was a shining example of how loot boxes should work. As much as I do like supporting companies who make games with, extra income for stuff that I can get on top of the game, yeah, I don't think it should impact progression in such a way. On the flip side, I played Battlefront 2 a lot, and I never really felt like I was at a disadvantage because I hadn't spent money on that game. Like, I think the advantages you got were so small, at least for me, not playing at like a top level, I never really noticed it. I never felt, oh, that person killed me because they had so-and-so star card, which you can get through just normally playing the game. So I think it was blown out of proportion a tiny bit, but saying that, I do agree that they went down the dark side. Okay, I can't defend it. I'm glad it's gone back to cosmetics. I think that's how loot boxes should be done. Like, we don't want like a class system in games where the richer are beating the poorer. That is some weird dystopian future, and I'm glad this happened because it obviously made such a shift in the way publishers and developers think about games that it's probably not going to happen again, at least for the foreseeable future, because of what we've now seen at
So what you're saying is, you're glad this happened because it means that games don't have loot boxes anymore, and that's a good thing.
No, I'm glad they have loot boxes.
You're on my side, and therefore I win?
No. I'm glad they do have loot boxes. I think loot boxes should stay, but do it properly. And I don't think you can say that's a bad thing, really, can you?
Well, I'm sure I can. I could sit here and argue the toss for another 6 hours yet.
You do run your mouth off a lot,
at the same time, England are playing and I want to get home. So
right, fair enough.
Should we wrap this up?
See you down the pub. I'll buy you some more football stickers.
So, who do you think won the debate? Let us know by voting in our poll in the top right corner of this video, or if you're on GameSpot.com, by putting your thoughts in the comments section below. It will be your votes that decide who wins, so make yourselves heard. Before Oscar heads down to the pub to watch football coming home, we've got time for this week's Quickfire Round, a series of dumb, fun questions written by the rest of the UK team. Let's see how the guys get on.
If you had to randomise either what your meals are or what you wear, which would it be? Well, you've already done the latter, haven't you?
Mate, this takes weeks of planning, I'll have you know. So I'll go for meals, actually, because I spend so much time on my day thinking, what am I going to eat?
Yeah,
Just
randomised
do it for
meals
me.
would actually be quite fun.
Yeah, it would stop me from eating
Pizza
bad
on
food as
toast.
well. What? No.
Pizza on toast.
Well,
let's go.
Whatever floats your boat. What is the name of unique currency used to buy loot boxes in your life?
In my life?
Yeah.
England coins.
Dollar bills? Horse armor, yay or nay?
What kind of a question is that?
I just added
Who
that
wrote
in. That
these?
wasn't written. I just made up the sound effect.
Oh, right.
This is what you're working with.
Oh.
Yes, horse armor. Make it like cool cyberpunk laser beams, metal armor, with guns on.
Nay.
Come up with a more fun name than loot box.
Sex container.
That's just crude and frankly not appropriate for the show.
You come up with something better then.
Party bag.
If you were a loot box, how much would a key to open you be?
Me, I'd be 99p because I'm cheap and easy, just like an ice cream.
Oh, well, let's go home.
We're out.
Remember to get your voice heard in our poll or in the comment section below and tell us who you think argued the case better. And if you enjoyed this episode of Versus, make sure to hit that subscribe button as we'll have new episodes of the show every Wednesday. Thanks for watching. See ya!